meeting at a new time on Sundays at 4 to 5. And we do have some interesting things to announce perhaps as soon as next week in the terms of sponsorships and otherwise. But most importantly, I would like to thank you, the public, for tuning in. And I have been getting increased feedback, especially now because of this brand new time. So it's really exciting now to be back here this Sunday, the second Sunday in a row. And I would like to say to all who have been contributing, whether by calling in or by sending messages or otherwise, that I really appreciate, and I do take all the necessary feedback on board. I will be continuing our discussion with Mr. Calvin James and Mr. Batiste as promised from last week, but I will also indicate that going forward, I have reached out to one or two other persons within the cricketing fraternity to also be able to participate. And it seems as if we are beginning to gain some attention, which is a good thing in terms of the discussion around cricket and development of cricket, especially for youngsters and persons who are currently vying for roles within the West Indies team. So, as per custom, what I will do is just run through some of the more appealing headlines from this last week of sport, and we can then move over to the discussion with Mr. Batiste and Mr. James for part 3 of our local cricket discussion, as soon as I would have completed the review. I am coming here actually on the heels of a very interesting result between Manchester United and Chelsea, because we've had a very interesting weekend of results overall in the Premier League. Before I get to that particular result, which is the most recent, I can just touch on some results that we would have seen since we last spoke, or we would have last been here last week, Sunday. Sunday, the last game we saw was when West Ham put a 2-1 lashing in Spurs. On the Monday after that, Crystal Palace was able to overcome Brighton 2-1, which is a good result for them. They've been lacking a bit of form, injuries and otherwise. So to get a win on the board would have been excellent for Crystal Palace, and it's good to see that they're finally beginning to put some points, much needed points on the board. Tuesday, interestingly enough, had a game where Leeds, I guess Southampton hasn't yet recovered properly from the thrashing they would have received from Manchester United, because they went under 3-0 to Leeds. But Leeds also themselves have been continuing their consistent good form over the season for the newly promoted. Of the 3 newly promoted teams, Leeds is the only one who seems to have a chance of staying up. And may I say so, it looks like they will be staying up, given how the table has been separating itself over the last few match weeks. And Leeds, with this win now, definitely putting themselves, at least as a team, for mid-table contention, as opposed to scrapping it out at the bottom with the others. Newcastle and Wolves, they drew 1-1. Wolves, they are missing their influential striker, and I'm not too hard on them, because he was really a big difference, a big piece of their entire puzzle, and him not being there is costing them a bit more than I think they would have normally had to pay. Leeds, that would have been, okay, I'm discussing in games I should have mentioned from Saturday morning. Leeds went under after beating Southampton 3-0 on Tuesday. They went under 1-0 to Aston Villa. This is no big surprise. Aston Villa have repeatedly been showing their Premier League credentials since their promotion last season, and they are letting everyone know that they will not be in a relegation scrap, because they only were able to retain Premier League status on the very last day of the season last season. This season, they are making sure they're nowhere near that destiny. So congrats to them, 1-0 over Leeds. West Brom, which is a name you don't normally see in the winners column, they overcame Brighton 1-0. What difference that will make in terms of their overall season, that's yet to be seen. But the Brom definitely needed points, and they got them. And let's see if they can build on that. Romain Sawyers, our local representative, in fact, our only representative in the Premier League, I'm glad to know that his team were able to come out 1-0. Man City unstoppable at this point. 2-1 over West Ham, who they themselves have been on very good form. And right now, it's really a matter of when and not if Man City will win the title. Because at this point, given the rest of the results that took place over the weekend, they sit at least 12 points ahead of the nearest contender. Then we had our matches today. Crystal Palace drew 0-0 with Fulham. No love lost there. Each team gained a point. Fulham needed a point because they are fighting to try and avoid relegation, but they're still some points off from the club above them. Arsenal, they're continuing their resurgence. 3-1 over Leicester, a big result for them, and it is hoped that they can continue from strength to strength. And I'm saying this as a Manchester United fan. It's good to see Arsenal back in winning ways. It's not very entertaining to see them struggle, because whenever we do meet them, I like to be able to hassle some of my friends who aren't Arsenal fans. And when you're down to the bottom of the table and we beat you, it really doesn't feel as good as if you are challenging. Not that you are challenging the season, not that you will be challenging for the next 2 seasons, but at the very least, you have regained some level of respectability with a 3-1 victory over perhaps a top 4 team this season. Spurs also, I guess it was a good week in North London, or a good weekend in North London, because they put a 4-0 licking in Burnley. Gareth Bale scoring a screamer, and Spurs looking as formidable as they've ever done in this match, and they would welcome those 3 points. Then now we have the match which I just completed watching, which is the Chelsea versus Manchester United match. Now this game, despite it being 0-0, was certainly not short of controversy, in the sense that there was end-to-end action. Both teams, I mean, some pundits say they didn't go for it. I thought that it was a very exciting game. I thought it was a game that had a lot of energy in it. Forgive me. Maybe not a lot of purpose, but definitely a lot of energy. And there was one major incident, and I have a little pun that I used in one of the chat groups that I've been participating in recently, is that did the referee go too far, in the sense that it was a handball call in the Chelsea penalty box by a Chelsea player, Callum Hudson-Odoi, and it was argued that Manchester United should have been awarded a penalty. In the fuller scheme of things, I could argue that maybe they should have been awarded the penalty, but would that penalty make a difference given the rest of the results that took place? I mean, and this is a sidebar point. Given the rest of the results that took place over the weekend, I don't think it has done Manchester United any serious damage, in the sense that City are 10-12 points ahead of us, and the chasing pack all suffered losses over the weekend. So in terms of the table standing on the overall Premier League title chase picture, I don't think it makes a huge difference. However, the mere fact that VAR was able to have such a great influence on the result is not a very good look for the game. The referee, I think, was uninclined to call the penalty from the time the play took place, and then eventually he did give in to the VAR consideration, and after considering VAR, despite what all persons see as an obvious handball, he stuck with his original decision and decided not to award the penalty. Interesting decision, a controversial decision. Numerous opinions have been shared on it by different parties, and it is one, as I said, which I wouldn't bother getting into too much debate over whether or not it was the correct decision, only because it really doesn't make a difference in the bigger picture, the bigger scheme of things. However, it is a decision that you really do not want to occur in a game that has greater significance. You would want either the referee to make up his mind and decide one time whether or not he will make a decision, or if VAR is going to be consulted, then you're gonna try and utilize the technology provided to correct if you have deemed that decision to be incorrect. And then he also made, Luke Shaw had an interview afterward which he claimed that he made some comments which, as when I say he, I mean the referee, which may or may not have been the best timed comments, I think, in the heat of the moment as to whether or not it would have been an uproar awarding Manchester United yet another penalty. These things should not come into the game. It's either a penalty or it's not a penalty. Whether or not it will cause an uproar is not the referee's decision to adjudicate. You are just to adjudicate on the facts as presented, whether by VAR or as you see them on the field of play. And in this instance, I think he went a bit too far in the process of, don't have that discussion with the Manchester United captain if it is that you are not likely to award them the necessary penalty that they, at this point in time, would think that they deserve. Now, currently, I know the reigning champions Liverpool are being held at bay by Sheffield United. That's the last piece of football I would have been observing, and it will be interesting to see whether or not they can overcome their 4-game losing slump, where they've conceded the title and probably a top 4 chance, and try and put themselves back on a stronger footing going forward for the remaining of the season. I'm not encouraged. I mean, I'm not a Liverpool fan by any means. In fact, there are rivals, but I'm not encouraged by what the capitulation of what was a very good Liverpool team last season. I am one whom I guess consider myself a football purist, so I want to see good football at all times. And Liverpool being in this condition is not helpful to me, the independent viewer, and I can always hope, especially if it's not us winning the title. If it was us winning the title, then yeah, I mean, whatever happens with them, happens with them. But the fact that City is running away with the title and there are no real contenders, because I still do not think, despite opposition in the table, that Manchester United are contenders for the Premier League title. I would have hoped that it would have been a case where Liverpool would have been in the mix so as to be able to put up a greater challenge for Manchester City. Not that I want them to win it again either. That is Liverpool, because right now there are 19 Premier League titles or English League titles, and we retain the record with 20. So, yeah, shout out to those Liverpool fans. I'm as much as I'm not supporting you to challenge us in the near future, I'm actually hoping that you can regain some level of respectability after this afternoon's match. Okay, so that's just a brief review of the Premier League. Just to give you a brief update as well on the Serie A race. The Serie A race now has Romelu Lukaku having spurred Inter Milan to a 3-0 win over mid-table Genoa today. They're now leading the Serie A race by 7 points, which is a very interesting turn of events, because now they're leading Juventus by 10, AC Milan by 7, and Serie A beginning to look somewhat like the 90s Serie A, where Inter and AC were the juggernauts, and Juventus, even though they were always title winners, they often found their greatest challenges coming out of Milan. And seeing those two Milan teams having sort of a rejuvenated season is also a very encouraging thing for the game of football. Spanish league-wise, Atletico Madrid is still leading La Liga, which is also a big shake-up for the Spanish Football League. They are leading Barcelona by 2 points, and Real Madrid is in third position on 52 points, 3 points behind Atletico. So this, to me, is a good result from the perspective of it breaks the stranglehold that Barcelona and Real Madrid would have had on the La Liga title for the past, I don't know, for as long as I could remember. I don't remember any other team outside of Barcelona and Real Madrid winning. And to see Atletico Madrid sitting at the top of the table with games in hand, I must add, it would be interesting to see whether or not they can hold out for the remainder of the season and break what is some sort of a jinx that the two super clubs in Spain have on La Liga. So I am keeping my hopes up that Atletico and Diego Simeone, whom is again one of my one of the coaches whom I greatly respect, able to hold out. So that covers basically Europe, and now I have both of my guests here with me because we have been having a lot of good conversations around cricket. I don't want to go into too much other highlights because there are none really basketball. We know that's basically the NBA title is basically LeBron's to lose at this point. Despite all of the shenanigans around the other teams, whether it be the Nets or otherwise, the Nets, Mavs, I think it's really just LeBron and Anthony Davis to catch themselves. And in terms of athletics and other sports, we can and will engage in these discussions in a bit more detail because I have some guests scheduled for the upcoming weeks whom are a bit more versed in those fields, and it will be interesting to have those guests here when we start to pick apart those other disciplines. So what I will do, I will take a quick 2-minute break as we get set up here for the part 3 of the discussion between myself, Mr. Batiste, and Mr. James, who are now here, and both of them seem ready and able to continue our discussion from last week. And once we're back, we will continue that discussion.
For real and unbiased sports news and reviews, from cricket to football and everything in between, with in-depth interviews from your favorite sports icons. Check out The Bench Meeting, hosted by Kenneth Bob, on Sundays from 4 to 5 p.m. Only on WINN Media SKN.
Welcome back, and we go again, and welcome to Mr. James and Mr. Batiste, who have graced me with their presence for now the 3rd week running. And I must let you two gentlemen know, before you introduce yourselves, that our conversations have at the very least been sparking some interesting conversations with myself and listening guests. They've been sending comments, and some even called to sort of offer me some bits and pieces of information, which I'm very appreciative of, some of which under the veil of respected confidentiality, so I wouldn't be using any names whatsoever.
That's correct.
But all information that that, in fact, most information is information that would help, especially if everyone's, and I do gather that everyone's mind is focused toward the development of cricket in St Kitts and Nevis. Before we pick up the conversation where we left off, Mr. Batiste just gave me a very good reminder of a major sporting event that, a major event that took place as it relates to one of our iconic sporting figures, in the sense that Mr. Tiger Woods, he had a pretty bad car accident over the last week. And first of all, I'm very grateful that he is not, he's still here with us. I do take it, however, that he suffered some pretty bad injuries in this accident. And his tail, most persons my age, we were not interested in golf until we heard about Tiger Woods. Personally, I had very little interest in golf. But when Tiger graced the scene and he did what he did and he changed the golf world and tossed it up on top of its head, every young black boy and girl now started to see a potential career in golf, a potential sport in golf. And I'm certain that a number of the young golfers here in the region and in St Kitts and Nevis would have benefited from his achievements. And Mr. Batiste, you said you wanted to make some comments in regards to the same. You could go ahead and do so.
Yes, it's a very unfortunate incident for the great Tiger Woods. He had a similar incident back in 2009. And as you quite rightly said, we are indeed grateful that we did not lose him, because he has certainly been a very iconic sporting figure in the world of golf. And he has inspired many black people throughout the world, having done so well as a black golfer, being probably the greatest golfer of all times.
Yeah, I think he challenges. Yeah. He's still too short of Jack Nicklaus for the all-time, I don't know if championship is the word they use. They use another word for when you win a golfing competition.
The green jacket?
Well, the green jacket I know speaks to the Masters.
Okay.
That's very specific. But I think in terms of overall tournament titles, I think he himself is only 2 tournament titles away from overcoming Jack Nicklaus. Yeah. Serena Williams conceded last week, and we touched on it a little bit, and I think she's only won tennis championship or 2 tennis championships away from achieving the greatest in
women's
tennis as well too. So we have 2 iconic sporting figures whom I hope they've not plateaued, but even if they have plateaued, I'm hoping that each of them have enough to sort of give them what it takes to make it to that level, because it would be so great for the sport as well as for, as you just mentioned, for a number of young black boys and girls, men and women whom want
everywhere,
who want to emulate these type of folks. And it's my hope that he gains a full recovery. I don't know if any of you have any further details.
Yes, seemingly he is going to recover, but apparently he suffered some severe leg injuries.
Right.
So it means that if he is unable to walk properly, that may affect his ability to move around, his mobility. But the good thing is that he is still with us, and I think one of the things that I would like to suggest to Tiger Woods, if he does in fact come back, is that he should really and truly hire a personal driver, and I wouldn't mind taking on that task.
That's a good one. That's a noble offer. That's a noble offer. If I can recall clearly, though, the first time he had a similar incident, though, he was
2009.
2009.
Yeah.
He was either intoxicated or which was one of the big controversies surrounding the circumstance.
Yeah.
And there was also some major controversy about his
marital
issues.
Extramarital issues.
Marital and extramarital.
Right. Yeah.
The wife apparently decided that she wasn't having any of it anymore, and she took it out on his vehicle, among other things. So it's hoped that with all of these, because he's such a enigmatic individual naturally, and he's
Yeah,
such a
yeah,
talented
Oh
individual.
my God.
That
He's a gift.
you would hope that he could
that.
overcome because I guess every human being, especially geniuses, because you could almost refer to him as a genius.
Yeah, certainly.
Most
certainly.
geniuses have this imbalance, this emotional, mental imbalance that tends to overcompensate in terms of talent. But then there's a lot of other things that seemingly they miss along the way in terms of social, how should I put it, social acceptability. Their lifestyles aren't necessarily the best. Their personalities aren't necessarily.
Persona, socialization, socialization. And interestingly, Tiger is pretty young. He's only 45.
That's it. That's it. You know?
And
So
the
he,
media is also on him too.
Right,
Everybody
right.
looking everything he do everywhere he goes.
Yes.
So that's,
The paparazzis.
yes. Because I guess in the older days when there wasn't so much, I mean, right now you have video cameras on your phone.
all over the place.
Them fellas and them would have done similar acts and performed similar things and gotten away
And you
with
don't
it
hear anything about
scot-free
it.
because nobody knows anything about it.
Right.
Now, from the time you run off the road, as in the case of Tiger Woods,
By the time you leave your house,
people videoing you, you know what I mean? As unfortunate as the incident is, somebody's going to pull out a camera before they come to try and
Yeah,
assist
right,
you,
yep.
you know, and that type of exposure does probably weigh even greater. I remember Michael Jordan at one point in time saying that one of the reasons why he retired the first time was because of all of the publicity,
Right, the
so
paparazzi,
the paparazzi
man.
and the
Yeah,
expectations that the general public put on you. So, you know,
A lot of pressure.
yeah, my heart goes out to folks in who have these sort of extra talents, this extra level of ability,
Yeah.
and the ability to manage what is a very pressing general public view and perspective as to what they should do, because everybody has an opinion.
Exactly.
Everybody has an opinion
Exactly.
as to, you know, what you are and how you should live your life and this kind of thing. So I do hope that he can recover fully enough to be able to, as I said, try for one more,
Yeah,
two
at
more.
least play again. Yeah, it will be good.
Yeah, it will be good. It will be good for the sport. It will be good for him.
Certainly.
You know. All right. Well, I mean, if you're talking about geniuses, remember we had our own in the form of Brian Charles Lara.
Oh,
who,
yes.
again, you could get mixed reports on him as to whether or not, you know, he was the greatest ever or he was the most problem. He was the biggest problem for West Indies during that era, you know. But
the record show anyway.
Yeah,
So I think that really
I focus on the records.
yeah. Well, as sports people, that's what we try to do. For some reason, I think though, when the general public tries to pull us down from those excelling records, you know, they tend to use those other little negatives to drag on us. So
And I see those as the smaller picture.
Yeah,
I look at the
yeah.
broader picture.
Yeah.
The bigger picture.
the bigger picture is what's
Yeah,
most important.
Yeah, man.
And to the bigger picture now about surrounding St Kitts and Nevis cricket. You know, as I said, we've gotten a lot of discussion around St Kitts and Nevis cricket, and one of the joint perspectives, I must let both of you know, that the general public in their feedback has indicated is that definitely the marketing and the PR aspect of the St Kitts and Nevis Cricket Association needs to be improved to a large extent. I just thought I would share that to start our discussion, because whether it has been sportsmen or administrators who discussed it with me, both of them said the same thing. Things are being done, or all of them say the same thing, I should say. Things are being done, it's just not enough publicity, not enough positive publicity around it. And you know, maybe whether out to this discussion or otherwise, if there's a methodology that we all could find to assist with that process, then I think we would be doing cricket in St. Kitts and Nevis a good. And so I must say that in terms of the discussions we've been having over the past few weeks, that is one salient point that I think is accepted by all and sundry alike. And it is good that you were able to highlight it here on the program. You had some other points, though, that you said you would have liked to have raised.
Well, yeah, but just to kind of maybe add 1 or 2 points on that one, because I think it's very important.
Go right
Because
ahead,
If we don't
yes.
have the marketing and we don't reach out to the community and the schools, and that is where I believe the default is. Because when you do that, right, cricket actually get that extra oomph, if you like, whereby, you know, the kids start playing cricket.
Right.
Then you can develop your programs from that, because now people now start hearing about it. The kids coming home and telling mom and dad, and they're telling the peers in school and so forth. And that's the area that I really emphasize in. That's why I talk about schools cricket and community cricket.
Yeah, you've mentioned that a few times.
You know.
So to pick up on that point, you're suggesting that because there is from what I understand, there is a proposed program, national program, I believe, and it does have a number of different segments to it, whether it be under 17, under 15, matches between St Kitts and Nevis, because I was even made aware that there are annual matches that take place between the two islands.
Oh yes. For some time.
For some time.
Yeah.
So you're suggesting that, okay, so that while that is one potential focus, the more, I don't know if you want to use the word beneficial, but one of another keen focus should be placed on schools cricket.
Well, let me put it this way, Bob, right? Before we even play in Nevis,
right,
we must look at St. Kitts.
Right, agreed.
In this sense, because Nevis are way ahead of us, in my open opinion.
Right.
And I believe that the area that this information you just bring it to us here, who have heard about it? The media? Nobody have heard about it. So what I'm saying here, and the point I'm trying to raise is that we need to get more assertive in the marketing. And the marketing, in my opinion, must be done initially through the schools. When we get the marketing in place, you put a marketing plan together, you put a business and proposal together, then we move on the action plan of that.
Okay.
And that is the area that I thought was lapsing for years. Okay. This is not into recent. And that is why you find we've been stagnating and even maybe one will say retrogressed over the years. Because that marketing plan, that 3-person committee, for an example, right, is not evident. We're not hearing enough of that through the schools, through the communities. And that's the reason why I'm really asking, I'm really pleading. I'm saying, guys, let's focus. Let us look at what is really essential. If you look at football, every week you hear something about football. You hear something about basketball.
You do get that. You do.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that what we need to do is just get just a 3-man. You don't need a whole, 15, 20 guys for committee. 3-man committee, and we focus. We set a plan together, and we said, okay, this is what we want to do. We want to have, let's say, an area within Bastille, maybe, let's say, Patsy Alice playing field. You can have the primary school there, Connor. Primary school.
Dr. William Connor.
And you can have a softball cricket start playing there, right? You can have the next one up at Beach Island, right? Where you can have another one. So you have the two disparities, the two areas, where you can bring groups and communities together. Okay. Then you can have the 2 schools competing and the surrounding schools. Okay. So then people start hearing about it. Okay. You know, cricket now is in the air, like football is in the air, like basketball is in the air, on a junior level. Before we get into the intermediate and advanced level.
Now let me throw. I like to throw a little.
Oh yeah, that's always. Let's go to discussion.
Marketing and public relations has taken the face of marketing and public relations. Bear with me. Has taken a sharp, I shouldn't say turn, but it has evolved.
Advanced.
That's the word.
Advanced.
Evolved,
yes.
advanced
yes.
over the years.
Correct.
So what we used to do yesteryear
That's right.
cannot necessarily apply and would not be as effective in today's and that brings me to some of our, because our constitutions, and I'll get back to the constitution part, but because what I have noticed with football, what they have done is that they have outsourced a lot of their publicity, so that they have hired independent news broadcasters, if for the lack of a better word, maybe persons who are interested in the sport, and they've said to them, let's partner with you in order to publicize the games, in order to commentate on the games, in order to bring greater awareness about the games.
That's right.
And because of that partnership with different
collaboration, partnership, same thing, yeah.
They tend to get, I mean, and football, in all fairness, is a lot more followed in St. Kitts maybe than in Nevis. But because of those partnerships, they're able to build on the already large volume of information they have going and coming as it relates to football. Is there a facility in place within the cricket fraternity for that type of partnership, as far as you're aware?
Well, you see, this is where the partnership come in. Partnership come in when you reach out to a youngster, whether he's in Deptby, he's in Newton Ground, Sandy Point, or Bastille, from his primary school, and you have them in a 10-10 or 15-50, 10-10 or 15 over game, right? That propels marketing. That bring the kids go, Mommy, you know, I played cricket today. I made such and such, right? That is one aspect of it.
Right.
aspect of
That's
it,
word of
right?
mouth.
Yeah. The other aspect of it is that from that now, you ask the schools to have small programs to start developing revenue. Can you have a bazaar? Can you have a collaboration with the cricketers against the footballers, the cricketers against the athletes? And you have a kind of holistic approach where all the kids participating, but your focus in this particular time is cricket.
Okay.
So as the word get out, cricket now is being advocated more and more and more. And you start to even get sports of marketing, sports of revenue coming in. You know what I mean? These things here to me create what we'll say here, interest. You know, the kids get more interested in it. But when you're not hearing anything, nobody want to know about cricket because I haven't heard anything. Kids from the, I always forgot the name there, from Mr. Connor High School. 3-4 kids I know that they're going to play football because there's nobody there to teach them cricket.
So so that's okay.
So an example.
What your example there? You had a contribution, Mr. Batiste?
No, I was wondering if you're referring to the William Connor.
William Connor,
Yes.
Patsy Ellis.
Yeah. William Connor Primary School, that's right.
Yeah.
The point you made there, though, raises two, to be very, very distinct points. One speaks to the organization of events
Yes.
around cricket, where whether it be the responsibility of the Cricket Association, these independent schools, because mind you, a school can, within its own right, have a little
Oh, yes, of course.
interclass,
But, okay.
competition, supported by whether it be the Cricket Association or otherwise. But then you also have to go through the Department of Sports,
Yes.
who is responsible for the overall development
Yes.
of sport on the whole.
Totally agree.
And I know that their portfolio is a very large portfolio because we're not referring to 3 sports here. We're looking at a wide variety of sport. Do you think then that there is enough human resource to be able to put together the type of program that you envision?
Okay, let me put it again to you again, Rob, right? When you have a business plan that has been approved
Right?
by your local association, St Kitts, which is the governing body of cricket in St Kitts, and you bring that to the Leeward Islands,
Right.
and from Leeward you bring it to West Indies Cricket Board.
Right.
So we have an approved holistic program for primary schools.
And when you say we, that is your
St Kitts.
St Kitts Nevis.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
The St
right?
Kitts Nevis Cricket
Yes.
Association.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
They're the governing body. They're the leaders.
Right.
They have to show the public what they're doing.
Right.
Right. So what I'm saying now, when you bring a business plan together,
Right.
and you have shown the benefits of this primary school cricket program,
Right.
that has been approved by LECA, that has been approved by West Indies Cricket Board. Tell me, which Ministry of Education would deny that?
So you're saying that there is not one currently?
I am saying I have never seen a holistic primary school cricket program that has developed cricket over the past 5-10 years.
Okay, but you're saying so
Okay.
based on the fact that you have not seen any cricket being played, as well as the fact that you've not seen a document,
document.
to indicate that there is
From
one.
2005, since I've been a member of the Cricket Association, I've never seen a program.
Oh, okay.
All right? That is what. I have never seen a program. Right? They also have the program to the ministries. The ministry go to the schools and they have schools periodically.
Right.
But I'm talking about the sport now, as you realize, is all year round.
Right.
And the intervention of these other sports also create competition.
Right.
So one need to create the atmosphere to show the benefits of cricket. Cricket
Okay.
is non-contact. Cricket has the educational aspect of it.
It does.
Cricket has what you call a mindset, a thinking. You have a discipline aspect of it. So what I'm saying is that by bringing the kids in at a young age, they must benefit when they get to the next level.
Okay.
But that program must be, again I said, right, it must be approved. Because you don't want it, you have a program in saying that is not in line with LECA or West Indies Cricket Board.
Right.
So you have to have a draft you put together. You find out if West Indies Board have one. If West Indies Board don't have one, you go to ICC or you go to ECB or Australia or one international bodies.
Okay.
But I am emphasizing that we need to have an action plan, a business plan, a coaching plan together that is national.
Now let me ask this question. because from my correspondence over the last week,
Yep.
there is a calendar,
Yes.
which means that there is some level of a plan.
Yeah, but nobody see it. I hear it.
Granted, but from the explanations offered, there's a perfectly rational reason why not, as yet, in the sense that you mentioned approval by LECA and the CWI.
Yeah.
But then there also has to, so if you're going into the schools, you also need to have approval from the local
Yes,
government.
Yes.
And from my understanding, the calendar for 2021, which I want to also add, includes female cricket, which is something we haven't necessarily discussed here in the program.
cricket-
But I am assuming that we all think along the same time,
Yeah,
right?
both genders.
It is still awaiting, because you just can't, because I've been alluding to this over and over again. None of us can just randomly go and host events in any school.
No,
There
and I'm
needs
not
to be
advocating that.
an approved
Yes.
system by which these programs are executed at the school level.
That is why you need planning ahead. You need a 3-year plan. You need a 5-year plan. You cannot just expect to put 2021 schedule or plan now, and today this is March. We're going into March. What I'm saying, this should be done since last year. The Cricket Association had an interview with the Minister of Sports September last year. The Minister of Sports have given them his full support for grassroots cricket development.
Right.
They already have the minister supporting them. The question I'm asking, what have they done since? Have we heard an update?
But-
have they come to the media and tell us, well, look, this is what's happening?
Well, again,
I sound like I'm bashing them, but I'm bringing the points here that
I understand
Yeah.
the points, right? What I'm trying to do, though, is trying to, because unfortunately, because of the bureaucratic society that we live in, we need to dot our I's and cross our T's at every single step. Because if anywhere along the way, the plan is not, or there's some unfortunate incident or something happens, and we have not completed those steps, then somebody has to be held responsible. And who do we hold responsible? Do we hold the Cricket Association responsible? Do we hold the government responsible? Do we hold the school responsible? For example, a severe injury or something of the sort. Well, why I bring that point is at the point that I'm suspecting that we are at here now. There's a willingness by the Cricket Association to engage further. COVID has, not just with cricket alone, but with most other sports, thrown a real,
that's right, in everything, every
spanner
walk of life.
in the wheel, yeah? And I am almost certain, because football recently had its own battle,
Yeah.
and I'm speaking to that from personal experience. Football had its own battle
correct.
in terms of acquiring the approvals and the necessary
correct.
go-ahead even to play. And right now, they're playing right now with 0 fans.
Yes.
Which, revenue-wise, is going to have an impact over time. And it's not a sustainable, based on the fact that these are non-professional organizations, it's not a sustainable way of them
Totally
being
agree. But it's in
able
the
to
best
function.
interest of
But it's
our-
in the best interest
okay,
of the sports.
okay,
But
okay.
football,
And not all people.
Football has financial support to some extent from
FIFA.
FIFA.
The International
A large-
Football
Totally
Federation.
agree.
Yeah.
Now,
Yep.
I'm not certain if the CWI provides similar financial support. I'm certain it
Not
doesn't
similar.
provide
Not similar.
the quantum that football gets.
No.
So even executing what you're suggesting, there are a number of different factors that don't necessarily rest only with the Cricket Association. It also rests with general society, well-meaning persons like ourselves, as well as I keep mentioning it over ago, the Department of Sport through the whatever the governmental departments that plays a part or plays a role in us being able to roll out a program as you're suggesting. How do you navigate all of this?
No, well, I like to go back to the fact that when you have a plan that is approved,
Right. But
All-
approved by whom? Remember,
approved by the 3 levels.
3 levels of cricket.
When I'm saying the 3 levels, because you have something that's been approved by cricket,
Right.
you're bringing it now to the ministry.
Right.
So it's, one would say, unlikely. I'll put my head out and say it's unlikely for the ministry to not approve a program that is being approved by.
But that's what
by cricket.
NEOC did with the football, in the sense that at this point in time, due to COVID protocols, they said, hey.
But no. Well, that's a different situation because that's applied to everybody.
But that's the situation we are in now, Mr. James.
But-
if you
But
can
no,
be
but
fair.
why is it football don't have a problem? Because they have a revenue stream over the years. They've been bringing revenue in. They've been having a wider scope of participants playing.
Okay.
Over the years, when you haven't been hearing anything cricket, they've been mute.
And I'll give you that. I'm just
Yeah.
suggesting that it is not as easy as to get
No,
approval.
but you see, why is not as easy? Bob? Because this has been going on for years. We used at one time we had more cricketers than footballers in St Kitts.
Okay.
Now we have more footballers than cricketers, and we don't have to go back to determine the reasons for that, because it happened all across the Caribbean.
Right.
Right? But what I'm saying is the area that I identified to be the single most challenging problem that we have in cricket is the marketing and promotion.
Okay.
Right? And the coaching programs for the youngsters. To me, they want to focus in primary schools tournament, like athletics, for an example. And that goes right to
Yeah,
Windies.
yeah.
Windies don't have right now a primary school or secondary school to regional tournaments. Sorry,
Agreed.
and that to me is where the problem starts.
Okay.
For your business to improve, you must include young people.
Agreed.
And
that has to
and
do
the
with the
young
focus
people will
lines.
help you with the marketing.
Right.
First thing I go and tell mommy, you know what? We could have a school quiz. The Cricket Association have a lot of information about cricket within the region. Why we can't have a school quiz? Why we can't show the Ministry of Education this could be attached to your programs that you have in school for social studies, and bring the kids asking them questions. Hey, what year did St. Kitts first won the Leeward Islands tournament?
But then again, Mr. James, you're talking about going into the schools.
Yes.
The Ministry of Education. They know.
That is where you ask. You have to write a letter. You have to let them. You have to justify it. We all know that. I mean, I don't like to go. I brought an example. For an example, I am vice president for the St Kitts and Nevis International Association.
Right.
We ran a school quiz, and we got approval from the Ministry of Education because it is in benefit to the students. We're bringing something to the students that they don't even know according to the school curriculum. I'm not saying everything will be approved. Naturally, they have to vet it.
Right.
But when you do it, the only time you will know will not be accepted is when
You try it.
you try it.
Okay.
So I am saying that this is the areas the kids want to know. For an example, let us have the kids on a we refer to it as a quick social studies afternoon. How many of you know about cricket? Okay. Do you guys know how many balls is in an over?
No, well, now you started to have a conversation.
Right?
Okay.
The dialogue. What I'm saying, these are the things for the primary school level. Do you guys know what is a maiden? Do you know the responsibilities of a captain?
Okay.
I'm saying that these are elementary, basic things you need to do for the youngsters to get their interest.
Okay, so create a cricket culture.
A cricket culture. You have a little prize. You have a T-shirt. You get them. Collaboration with the movies. Put the movies on. You have a free ticket to go to the movies.
Right.
You get collaboration with business. You said, hey, if you guys win this, you can get some orange juice or something beneficial. These are things that I believe should be led by the Cricket Association.
Okay.
That is the area I'm talking about. Grassroots primary school cricket development.
But that,
Yeah, it's very important to sensitize the youths about the various areas about the game, because a lot of the youths are not aware. They're not familiar with a lot of aspects
Exactly.
of the game of
And
cricket.
cricket have a lot of rules.
Yeah, but one of the things that is being said is that the Cricket Association is not primarily or exclusively responsible for cricket within the school
right.
sector, the
Yeah.
school system.
I would almost want
That-
to
that
argue
is-
that they
yeah.
aren't at
They're
all
not,
Right.
responsible.
They're not.
It's,
And
it's
yeah.
more under the jurisdiction of the Ministry
of Sports.
Of sport.
Yep.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I, because you made a very valid point in the sense that I know of primary school students who are more versed in football statistics
Yes.
than I am, because that's what they're exposed to.
Exactly,
So
exactly.
beyond just knowing what 6 balls in an over, I guess because of the ever-present
Continuously.
continue football showing on TV.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They attach themselves to an international team. When I say one particular young man I know for certain, like Caden, I believe he can sit. I don't think he's 12 yet, but he can sit and have a conversation with me, whom have been in football for years, about Manchester United, the players that are currently playing on the roster, whether or not they're any good, how much goals they score in a season. And these type of statistics can only be gathered if they put in additional reading. You don't just sit down and listen and watch a TV. You know, they're closely following the game. And that is because there's an interest sparked there, and it is nurtured by, I guess, his parents and otherwise. And he now uses his free time to research.
And that brings me to the point. Every week you come by and you give an update of local football. So the kids now who are not back in East, back in West, back in Bay, back in whatever. So you find that you get the interest. So the kids can tell you, hey, how many goals did the striker for
St. Paul score?
Yeah, exactly. Who is the they're hearing it on the radio, they're hearing it on the media.
Yeah.
Did you hear anything about cricket? This is the point I'm making, we back to the same thing. We're going on and on in circles in the fact that the marketing and promotion to the youngsters is key.
Okay.
I rest my case.
Now, next thing I would need to ask you. There is a lot of, if you're going to use the marketing argument and the exposure argument that I was just referring to, cricket is not as frequently shown on our local stations or in our local market as once ago, and definitely not as much as football.
Yes,
for
because
sure.
you have a football station there.
But I remember growing up, my dad would be tuned into a TV for hours and watching cricket. Sometimes 3-4 o'clock in the morning, and I would get up in the morning and see him watching West Indies play Australia or something of the sort. I do not get as much access to viewing of cricket, and I'll go even further. Even for CPL games, in my opinion, I do not think that they are broadcasted within the islands as much as they could and should be. Furthermore, you get more IPL being broadcasted than you get CPL.
Yep.
And these are little avenues which outside of the Cricket Association, where other aspects of our society can actually play a role in raising awareness about cricket and raising awareness about what is involved in the game and this kind of thing. What is the challenge there?
But just before that, we must give commendation to West Indies cricket, Windies cricket. Because they have a new contract now for marketing. Right.
I saw that recently. They signed off a new
and to me, that is excellent.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And we have to give kudos to Wiki Scarrett for really
doing the
getting
work.
that.
Yes. One of our own.
Right. Yes. Yes. I mean, you have to give the truth. You have to say where it's at.
Yes.
I think that is definitely good. But at the same time, to answer the question, repeat it again.
Whether or not, is there anything more that can be done to broadcast?
Oh yes.
Cricket
Well, I go back again, right? I could remember, and I don't believe it's out of order to call it.
And before you even continue, the Super 50, for example,
Yep.
just concluded. None of us, I personally, have not seen one Super 50 game on any of the channels available to us locally.
Yeah, it's on 77.
It's on 77.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because of the times that they've been played. Maybe they've been played during the course of the day when I'm at work or otherwise.
It's live. I've seen a number of them. Yeah.
I haven't noticed any. And then, where's the marketing around
that
it?
is the point I'm making.
Where's the marketing around it?
What I'm saying here, Bob, is that I believe that is where the local organization need to come out and let the people know what's happening. Because we have nationals who's playing for Leeward Islands.
Okay.
I mean, we have what, 2 or 3 of them, right?
Yeah, some
3 of them,
yeah.
right? That's playing for Leeward. So what I'm saying is, somebody come out and just give a 5 minutes update of what's happening. That's helpful. People hearing something of cricket. Thanks to Thea Clark, who will come out and give us a little bit, and freedom there.
Troy does a Troy sends out, even on WhatsApp he sends out. Troy Mills sends out. Okay. So
what I'm saying is that we just need for them to show a little bit more leadership. Show us what you're doing. Tell us why. We want to know. We're here to work with you. We want the best interest in cricket. And I believe that these are the areas that I have not seen any prominence in the past 10 years.
Okay, so let's take that point, and what I will do is I actually have been trying to reach out to Mr. Dennis Philip, and I haven't been successful yet, but I am now fully aware as to who he is, and he actually works not too far away from me. So I'm hopefully over the next few weeks I shall.
We'd like to get a dialogue. We
dialogue
met
with
before.
him a bit more and get some more information in terms
this is all good for cricket.
what can be done for marketing. But you said to me, and I don't want us to run out of time before you made that point. You said to me you had a point about the constitution that you wanted to raise, and I'm keen to hear that.
My colleague here, Mr. Baptist, I think you probably have access to the notice for the meeting that's coming up in April.
Okay.
And I recall, I don't have it in front of me, I just have a copy of the Constitution in front of me. I recall in the notice that came out that indicated that anybody who wished to run for an executive position, which I am not interested in, just want to make it clear, I'm not doing this because I want to be president of the Cricket Association or nothing. I'm doing it because of the love of cricket.
Okay.
And I feel I have something I could contribute that is positive.
You did state that.
Right. So I want to make that very clear. But the notice stated that any person who wishes to run for the election that's coming up, they must indicate what position that they would like to run for.
Right.
According to the notice that was sent out.
Right.
But the Constitution of the Cricket Association does not say that you have to tell them what position. You just have to indicate an interest.
Okay.
So to me, that makes a difference. Why would they want to know if I want to run for president, secretary, manager, or whatever? As long as I give my opinion that, look, I am interested in running for an executive position according to the Constitution. You can have a look at it, Bob, if you want to. Right? I highlighted it there.
Right.
Right? Okay? Where you just have to indicate your interests.
Right.
Right?
It's 14 days in advance.
Yeah, in advance. And basically, what would happen there, if you indicate that you want to run for president, and when you reach there, you realize, boy, look, I better, vice president, the president look like they have somebody who have more votes than me. So I will go for vice president. You probably may not be able to go for vice president because you already indicated the position you want to run for. So that is one way to screen out people. You see, these guys have a way, when you look at the fine prints, they have a way to come with these things over the years. I recognize it, and that is the reason why I just wanted to point that out here. That in the Constitution, unless they have a Constitution that's after this, and I understand this is the last one, which I had and I verified, right? It does not indicate or require for you to indicate what position you want to be nominated for or interested in for with the Cricket Association. You just have to indicate an interest.
Now let me flip that.
Yep.
If I, for example, based on the discussions we've been having, I'm a listener, and we've been having these type discussions, and I realize that I've never played cricket before in my life, at least on a professional level or semi-pro or even regional. And I say, you know what? Based on what Mr. James is saying, I want to run for president.
Yes.
Do you think that it is, I mean, yes, you want to refer to democracy and everything else, but do you think that it is best practice to just state that you want to run for something, and then when I get to the meeting, nobody knows Kenneth Bob? Well, they may know Kenneth Bob because of the radio program that he's hosting.
But I know you want to run for executive position.
But I didn't know I want to run for an executive position and put my hand up and say I want to challenge for president, nominated for president.
Yeah.
And Kenneth Bob gets nominated and elected for president.
Yes.
Does that mean that Kenneth Bob is necessarily the best fit for the position?
Well, that's the membership. Membership. Who's to judge that?
But
who's to judge that? It's membership.
In terms of your intention to run for a specific position, maybe wouldn't it be better advised by members prior to, okay, well, Mr. Bob, I understand that you have an interest in running for something, but maybe you're as a member, as an independent member, maybe your services are better used as a PR person as opposed to president.
Who will say that?
Well, any average member, once I put my name...
Yeah, because you could have one on the other side saying that, look, I support Bob to be president.
I agree.
So that's the reason why I'm saying you must be flexible. And I'll bring another point too. Even the Constitution of St Kitts and Nevis, when you're running for elections here, you don't say you want to run for the Prime Minister.
No.
Nobody want to run for the prime minister. You run for a party. And the party decide who they want for prime minister.
Agreed.
Right? So what I'm saying is that in the cricket, and the cricket bylaws guide you, it's clear. Right? You give an interest. I want to run as an executive member or part of management or whatever it is. Right? You just have to show an interest. And then when you get there, hey, it's like any game. You play the game.
Okay, so you're suggesting then that they are...
You should be clear.
They are going beyond
Yes.
what is stated in
the
the Constitution in order to... And your suggestion is that they're doing it in order to sort of assist persons whom are...
You see, I don't want to make any assumption. I'm just saying that, right, it is not in accordance with the Constitution. That's all I'm saying.
What's the drawback? What's the drawback of that particular announcement then? Mr. Batista, I notice you've been a little silent there. What's the drawback in that approach from your perspective?
Well, I think in terms of gaining a position on the Cricket Association, I believe it should be done in confidentiality. I do not believe that the information should be disclosed beforehand. I believe that it should be dealt with on the day, on the day of the elections.
But
yeah, because I believe it can work against the candidate. It can work against if it is known before.
Where if I know you running against me, now I go on, I rungs up.
And not only that too. It's a situation where the executive is being dissolved during the election. Nobody has opposition.
Right.
You have somebody who adjudicate the elections.
Right.
So
Returning officer or something
everybody's
like that.
equal. Everybody's just a member.
Right.
Yeah.
So why should I tell you want to run for president? Tell him you want to run for president. He want to run for president. What I'm saying, we all are equal. So you look around here, you may some persons who you want to be there is not there. So you look about I shot and vote. I can't run for president. Better go for manager or better go for this, right? But because you already indicate you want to run for president, you're stuck.
Oh, I see. I see.
They could challenge it and say, "Oh, you say you want to run for president. Your letter
How
is
come
here."
you change your mind now? You want to run for manager?
You know what I mean? And you cause a confusion in the meeting.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So what I'm saying is that that line, that sentence they put in there, and it's not valid.
Yeah, well, if it goes
According
beyond
to the notice.
if it goes beyond the what's stated in the Constitution.
Yeah, I showed you it. It's under let me just quote it here, Article 7, and is under Article 7 and is 8.2. Each member who wishes to become an elected member of the executive committee should declare in writing his or her interests at least 14 days in advance of the meeting.
Okay.
They did not say you declare you declare that you want to run for secretary, vice president, or whatever.
Okay.
You just write a letter and say have interest.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
But they give the impression now who don't have a copy of the Constitution, who haven't read it. Oh, I want to run for this. Then they know current executives, oh, boy, you know who went in for secretary? Boy, you know who went in for president? You know, what I'm saying is unfair.
Okay.
Okay?
I can take.
So that's the first point. The other point I wanted to raise, moving on because we got to get going here, is concerning the fees. And maybe my colleague can tell me. The notice also said you must pay fees for 2020 and 2021. I haven't received any information from the Cricket Association for years. The first time in about 10 years that I get a letter indicating about the general meeting, which should have been held according to the Constitution again, early in, when they say, every year they're supposed to have this biannual general meeting. I have to look at it. But anyway, it's still long overdue now. But
Right.
put that aside. It happens, right? What I'm saying is that if you had no cricket last year because of COVID, and this is an issue we had in the past, why I'm bringing it up, because we pay fees for 2-3 years in a row, and we get 2 games, no reimbursement.
Right.
Now, no cricket last year, but the Cricket Association is saying you must pay your fees for 2020 and 2021.
Okay. Let me challenge you.
Let's
there.
let's discuss that.
Let's
discuss that.
Are the fees exorbitant? What are the fees like?
I can't even remember what the fees are like. You remember what the fees are like? I can't remember the fees are like. But it's not, whether it's exorbitant or not, I don't think that's really relevant.
Okay. Well, why I ask is because we just both or all agreed that cricket doesn't really receive much assistance from external forces.
That's right.
And you need oil in the
yes.
engine to keep it flowing.
And you need service when you put the oil in there.
And you need to service when you put it in. You just can't put oil without service.
And the car can't run.
But you need oil.
Okay,
right?
good.
In this instance, whatever little oil they can get, they're going to try to garner, because if it is you want to, let's assume for all intents and purposes, you want to have an active or more active cricket calendar this year, schedule this year, then you're going to need oil in order to make that wheel turn.
But that's one way. There's several other ways you could get oil.
Several other ways.
Yeah.
Now, I know that in some institutions, though, in fact, in most business practices, due to the impact of COVID, they tend to say, okay, give you a waiver. Could that be discussed as opposed to insisting that both be paid, or you need to be paid up to date? And again, I'm not trying in any way to make excuses for them.
No, I understand.
What I'm trying to do is to find the best
solution.
Okay, the easiest solution forward.
Yeah.
Maybe that could be raised as part of it, in the sense that you can waive the 2020 fees or postpone them up in as much
up at an installment
or something, or minimum.
The reason why
I may be incorrect, but if my recollection serves me right, I want to believe as an individual member, one may have to pay somewhere in the vicinity or somewhere in the neighborhood of EC, $150.
I saw that somewhere. Yeah. I saw that somewhere.
$150 for individual members.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it's somewhere under 200. What I'm saying, I wasn't discussing the fee rates. I was discussing the principle.
Okay.
And the reason why I bring this principle, because I said in the past, our cricket club, which I was the president, and I also have an individual membership. So I usually vote as a member and allow my players to vote for the club. Okay. We had 3 years in a row paid our membership, and I can tell you, over the 3 years, we get about 2 games per year.
As part of your biannual meeting, do you discuss
Yes,
the
we raise this up because...
No, in terms of the accounts, is there an accounting, is there a report, a financial report submitted?
That is required during the
well, I am
biannual.
assuming.
That is required in the biannual.
I'm assuming
so
that
they should have that.
Yeah, because every constitution must have.
But I have been, and that is one of the reasons why, I mean, you bring it up now, was one of the reasons why I didn't continue my membership, because the Treasurer's report was not presented during the biannual general meeting in the last one I attended.
Was it made available after?
Not as far as I know, because I didn't hear anyone saying about it. The Treasurer went to the airport, the Treasurer wasn't present, the meeting went on, the agenda went on, and we never seen a Treasurer's report.
And was any reason
right? Well, the only reason that he went to the airport to pick up somebody, and he'll be here, so let's go on with the meeting. And he never showed up. And our club have never received a Treasurer's report from the St Kitts Cricket Association. I'm not saying this current now, I'm not saying that at all, because, like I say, we have a new...
different administration.
And I believe, with respect to Mr. Dennis and his colleague, I'd like to give them, that professional...
Benefit of the doubt, yes, obviously.
Yeah. But what I'm saying, the reason why you find I'm on these things, because we have experienced it for years, Bob. I'm not trying to here to bash the cricket. I am trying to get the cricket to be in the house in other associations.
Okay.
We've been lagging behind because of these ills that I identified.
Okay. And those are very pertinent ills, because if it is that you're going to be making a contribution to any organization, there should be some sort of...
the COVID here have caused everybody financial stress, right? We didn't have any games. Why would you put in the notice that we got to pay for 2020 and 2021? To me, that is unfair.
At least not without a report to substantiate what the expenditure was like. Because I'm assuming no matter whether or not you had games, there's going to be expenditure. And let's be realistic. There's an executive, there's probably an administrative department that's going to need financing, whether or not it's simply light bills.
This maybe could be discussed on the higher level league or West Indies Cricket Board. They could say, look, guys, we have a problem down here. Could you help us? Or what I'm saying is wide reaching. I'm not saying this is what should happen. I'm saying that consideration should be given, that we're starting from scratch now as a result of COVID.
Okay.
And its people play cricket.
Okay.
people who cause cricket to be in existence.
Okay.
So we have to be reasonable to say, look, you have to pay your fees for 2021, right? Like a lot of organizations waive fees here and there because of what, or they have a moratorium on it. You know, one got to be reasonable and look at, if you want to bring people in, right now we're looking to get members in. So the easiest thing to do is say, look guys, we're giving you a waiver, join. That's a marketing tool.
Yeah, that could be.
You
That
know?
very well could be.
Yeah.
And then as
Exactly.
2021 comes in, now
Yeah.
you say, well, okay,
Yeah,
last
this is
year
it.
you give all your
Right.
waiver, but
Good.
this year we're gonna need.
And you do your marketing with it.
Yeah.
You go
Yeah.
to Richards or TDC or whatever it is and say, look guys, we have a primary school inter-schools competition coming.
Okay.
It costs us $50,000. We only got 10. Could you help?
Yeah. Yeah. But
You know what I'm
at
saying?
least you still have
Yeah.
something to show.
You know?
I remember you did bring that point. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I've over the past few weeks, I've been taking note of most of the considerations that you have brought. The three main ones I'm going to take away, and I'm going to, as I promised, I will seek the attention of some senior member of the Cricket Association to provide us with some answers. And then maybe when I have done so, invite you gentlemen back on the program to discuss the answers that I do receive.
Yeah, I don't
But
mind at all.
the three main questions, as far as I'm aware, is one is surrounding marketing and PR. What are the plans for marketing and PR for 2021 and beyond? Let's say 2021 through 2025, right? Two, the Constitution speaks to when you're eligible, when you're interested in applying for a post or running for election in a post, you do not need to state what position you want. You just need to state that you're interested in running for that. I'll inquire as to that particular
Well,
point.
the Constitution show you.
I saw it and I read through it.
Yeah.
And the third point I'll be asking is as it relates to what we would have just been discussing, the Treasurer's report. How is it circulated? How is it discussed? How is it ventilated to the satisfaction of the membership of the St Kitts and Nevis Cricket Association? And in doing so, then it would probably justify the call for persons whom would not have paid their dues for 2020 and now for this year, 2021. Would you think that that's a fair?
Yeah, I think that's a start.
At least to start
That's
the
a start.
conversation.
Yeah, that's a start.
And in doing so, what I will do is, as soon as I get any sort of affirmative answers, whether or not they decide to join me on the program, or whether or not they've decided to send me messages as they have been and give me a call to update me as they have been over the past few days, I will then revert back to calling you
I
gentlemen
don't
in.
mind us having a dialogue at all because, like I said, this
and
is useful.
as you said, maybe it might very well be a case where we dialogue with the association here together and all come with reasonable solutions, so that going forward, as I said, my goal, and I'm certain every person, no matter whatever position they take, is toward the development of cricket in St. Kitts, then St. Kitts and Nevis, and I'm just going it step by step. St. Kitts and Nevis, regional in terms of Leeward Islands, West Indies, CWI, and then internationally. All right. So thank you, gentlemen, for being here, and I want to encourage you to leave your phones open because I will try to reach out to you. Again, I don't know if any of you have some closing statements that you'd like to make before you leave, and then we would close off.
Quickly, I think it would be a good idea if St. Kitts and Nevis can work together to have both primary and high school / secondary school competitions. So you have St. Kitts competing against Nevis at the primary school level and at the high school level. So you develop the game from the grassroots level. Let me quickly finish. Also, it would be good if the St. Kitts Cricket Association, in collaboration or conjunction with the Ministry of Sports, can have folks studying curating. So you have people who are studying the preparation of pitches. And you have pitches prepared in time for local competitions and properly prepared to have something in it for both batsmen and bowlers going forward. So I think those are some of the issues and areas they can look closely at with respect to advancing and developing the game of cricket and letting the youths know that there is indeed a career path in cricket. And cricket has a lot of spin-offs. There is no other game in the world that has statistics like cricket. Statistics, and more statistics cannot done
Right.
when it comes to cricket. And there are many areas, numerous areas that people can go into. So rounding cricket. Cricket is holistic.
I think one of our mutual colleagues,
yes.
Richard, is a statistics guru.
Yes.
Right.
So yeah,
Yes.
there is obviously a
wide scope.
A wide scope
Oh, yes.
there. All right, thanks.
And
Mr.
to support,
Batiste.
just to support what Rodney said concerning the games between St Kitts and Nevis, I think that's definitely where we want to go. We should go beyond that by, just like how we have a Leeward Islands senior tournament, we have a Leeward Islands primary school tournament, a Leeward Islands secondary school tournament, and then we go up. So you have a cadre of kids coming through
The system.
from a young age.
Well, I want to
And
start.
that is the point I'm making.
The only thing I would say is let's start with the St. Kitts.
Yeah.
And I think once we
Yeah.
get St. Kitts running, then we could probably attack
take it from there,
the other levels and stages.
That
Step
question
by
you asked
step.
me just before we
Step
go,
by step.
concerning the biannual general meeting,
Uh-huh.
it's here in the Constitution on Article 14. The biannual general meeting of the association shall be held on the first Thursday in the month of November, or at a date no later than the first Thursday in December of the same year. Now we're having it in April.
Right, but
It's a reason for it. I'm just bringing it to what's in the
I agree.
Constitution.
So I ain't gonna,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna
No.
I'm not gonna pull them too hard.
No,
on that. I'm
That's
not gonna
what,
push them too
no,
hard. on that
I'm just
because
bringing it for attention. I'm not bringing it for argument.
I know.
Yeah.
Just thinking
Yeah.
that COVID has thrown everything
Everything
for a
off.
loop.
Yes.
So
Balance.
I'm not gonna
Yeah.
hold them. I'm
That's
not gonna
right.
hold them to ransom
Yeah.
for dates.
Yeah.
But I will take your point.
That's right.
and-
we just
and-
need
and-
people
and-
to
and dialogue
communicate
over it, yeah.
and dialogue. Communication is it.
Okay, no
Right.
problem. Thank you,
So,
gentlemen, very,
thank
very
you
much.
kindly.
The conversations
I
have been
think-
enlightening, they've been entertaining, and I'm certain they'll be ongoing. And it has been a pleasure engaging you gentlemen over the last few weeks. And I can assure you that it would not be the last. As I promised, once I have some feedback from the relevant authorities and sources, I will definitely be sending an
No problem,
invitation back.
Yeah.
And we shall be speaking again soon.
Be extending
And Bob,
invitation to
quickly, you
everybody.
think you can answer the question of why a test match would have ended in less than 2 days with a pink ball?
That's for India and England to sort out. And when we have a bit more time on the
We'll
program,
talk more about
I
that.
will discuss it. But I'll take a note of it, and maybe if you're listening to the program next week, I'll delve into it a little bit more.
Certainly.
But I want to thank the listening public again. Thank you, gentlemen, very
Thanks
much.
very much too. Thanks
thanks
for
our producer
thanks
for-
to Trent. I think Trent
Yeah,
did
for
a good
allowing
job,
us the little extra time. It's been really entertaining, and I'm
Yes,
really
certainly,
enjoying this.
certainly. It's
And
been a
thank-
pleasure being here with you, Bob.
Yep.
Thanks for having us.
And
Thanks
what,
a lot.
what we will do next week is perhaps open the lines to some comments
Yes,
on the program
that's for sure,
and see
sure.
how things are progressing.
Yep.
So thanks to one and all for
Thanks
joining
again
us in the
for
bench
having
meeting
us.
this evening.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
And
Do have a blessed
signing
one.
off for now.
Have a good
evening.
week. Yeah.